Hello, everybody. I know it's been a little while, but we did have a bit of a break in our regular campaign because of the Thanksgiving holiday and a couple other things. But we are back with another recap episode. You'll also notice, and especially if you'd actually watched the stream, I've started wearing these funky glasses. Not a fashion statement. I'm still kind of getting used to even seeing myself with this. I mean, never thought I'd ever wear any type of glasses, but here I am. This is just because, computer screens and all that. I'm spending a lot more time looking at them now that I'm actually doing that a lot for work. It's actually past year or so. It's been giving me a lot of eye strain, and I think it's even been resulting in some pretty bad migraines. So, you got to find ways to take care of yourself. It's a very important thing. So, anyways, when I last left off, the Olive Hat Trick had made it through the maze of corridors with dwarven runes, not ruins, that caused us to see our deepest, darkest fears and what have you. As I said in the last one, where I talked about, making things harder for your character. Sometimes it just makes for really good storytelling. So anyways, we made it through, and we'd gotten partway through a fight, and then left off, and as we started this one, we were just right back in the action with a couple of new faces. That's right in the middle of a dungeon, we had two new characters show up. Nobody knows what exactly they're doing there. Not even them. They're probably discussing that with the DM right now. So eventually we'll find out. So anyways, we had this big fight and then a bit of role playing where we got to rest and kind of get to know these new characters a bit more. Got them to get to know us a bit more and even start to establish some relationships going on. This is what I really loved is, both of these players that we have, or at least one of them, is just brand new to D&D and to role playing in general. It sounded like, but he managed to get into character pretty stinking quick. His character from the northern part of the Dawn Empire, where our adventures are taking place. And he's not all that knowledgeable about other races and societies. So, sure enough, as I'm approaching to start asking what they're doing there and all that, as I'm describing my character to the player, of course, the first thing that comes out of this character's mouth is, "Are you a demon?" And of course, we're all busting up laughing, myself included, because it was just delivery was flawless, and it's just, it's just a major crack up. It's not something you want to say to a tiefling, unless they're one that's kind of proud and kind of owns it. Then they'd probably just be like, yeah, but because of my character's experience, he gets a little upset by those kind of things. And he did. Well, what was great is these two brand new to the group, and they just jumped right in. I know usually I say in my previous videos I've said it's okay to kind of hang back a bit and kind of observe the dynamics and everything, and maybe pick out ways to fit in as you go along. To niches to fill relationships with other characters to establish. And some folks can do that, but it's also okay to just jump right in, which these two did. And it was great because then it was like we got to see, in this whole confrontation that took place between my character and this new one who is completely clueless about, at least It was probably pretty clueless in general, which was just fantastic. Um, we got to establish that kind of. It was great to have another character in the group where it's the relationship with my character is kind of put in on some awkward footing. We had Shearsm and Jayag butting heads most of the time, or at least Shearsm trying to explain things to Jayag. Sometimes not so, usually not so successfully. And this character just completely clueless. Just first thing that comes out is something that would actually be offensive to my character, and it was just great to be able to play in that space a little bit. As long as everybody understands that this is between characters and not between the players themselves. Sometimes you do need to make sure everybody actually understands that, and if it doesn't work, if it's still causing friction and whatnot between the people themselves, might want to consider revising how their relationship and interaction is going. But anyways, so we had that going on. It was also great to see, Jayag sticking up for Shearsm, because after a bit, Shearsm actually goes to sit and is just kind of glaring at this newcomer who just said something totally insensitive, even though he didn't really realize that's what he was doing. And Jayag just kind of throwing it right back in the guy's face, and sitting down next to Shearsm and saying, I got your back on this. So funny. Sorry. Sometimes I don't know. If you've been watching these videos for enough, you know that I don't always have the right words for this kind of thing, but I still try. That's the great thing. So now it's like you kind of go from the perspective of playing again with people who have never played this type of game before. We had that previously with the player who was playing Mukask, who had to back out because of life stuff. It's unfortunate, it does happen. And now this, is like seeing myself. It's almost like seeing myself playing sometimes, because you can tell they were trying to figure out and really try to understand what their characters can do, what their abilities and whatnot are. I've been in the same boat. There's some things that I've still haven't really gotten to use. And, that's okay. It's all a learning process, right? So, that's the big recap. And when we left off, we had actually done some more exploring of this dungeon. Actually, one of the things I decided to do was try and figure out why the cult had decided to set up shop there. I've been trying repeatedly to try and glean any information about what these symbols are that kept popping up as just these scales. Of course, I as a player had a pretty good suspicion what it was, because I'd been discussing some things about the different gods of this world with the DM, because I was just trying to figure out where my character would fit in with this whole thing and some bits of the backstory. And found out that this dungeon was actually originally a temple to the god of judgment. And now my big thing that I'm going to be working on in the coming session, is trying to determine why they set up this corpse tower on top of this particular, god of judgment temple. It had to have been some reason. I would suspect there's got to be a good reason why that's set there. So it's like, that's my big thing I'm wanting to uncover. Because I'm one of those nerds that's like, yeah, don't worry, I'm not too worried about fighting and combat, although it can be a lot of fun to do that, especially when you do things that are not the smartest idea, but it fits with the character. That was actually one of the great things that happened in this fight with this Lich Hound, is what you said. It must be another creature from that massive third-party monster manual that the DM picked up, but I kept turning invisible, or kind of invisible, just like phased out of that our plane of existence and whatnot. So eventually, when most everything else was failing, Jayag decides to try and splash some water, or what turned out to be blood and a bunch of entrails from this well, onto it so we can actually see where it is and maybe be able to hit it. The funny thing is, it didn't work. That didn't work out so well, because of course it was on a different plane of existence, so it just went. Phew. But of course, since we did manage to kill the thing pretty, semi-quickly, Jag was just like, "Oh, I told you guys this was going to work." I freaking love it, man. So anyways, it's like I enjoy the combat and everything. It's fun to try different things, although, wizards are not the greatest at the early levels for combat. I guess this is to kind of balance out the ridiculous amounts of power they wield at the higher levels, which I'm sure Shearsm will eventually get to. But I kind of more wanting to try and untangle some of the mysteries that have been coming up in the story, like why this tower of corpses has been set up here, why this ritual has been made to summon the big bad God's Lieutenant in that particular spot on top of that particular temple, and still some other mysteries like, whose side is Lord Morn really on? I have my suspicions. I haven't really been able to articulate them that well, either as myself or in character. But there's just still like this nagging suspicion about him. Just like there's this nagging suspicion about the particular location of this tower and probably a couple other things. That's the great thing, is I think their DM has actually been coming up with these things that this world is like so lore heavy because he's been working on it so much. So it's like he has something in there for everybody. He's got like stuff, he's got really cool fights for, the really combat focused people, interesting characters for the people who really want to, interact with the other people in the world and try to, form bonds and whatnot with them. And all kinds of little mysteries for the guys who just want to investigate and like just kind of pick and peel away at the threads that are holding out all together. It's great. So that's kind of my main thing. But besides investigating this, we also left off with some of the party. We did make the mistake. We'll see how bad a mistake it is of splitting the party. Some of us, including this new character who has already managed to piss Shearsm off, ran into this little gremlin thing. Apparently has like a tankard of some kind of alcohol, whose name is Rum, who is actually offering to guide us through the dungeon. And we're going to be picking up with Elanon, one of our two half-elves, he's the guy that's kind of part of the secret police or whatever of the Empire. We're going to be starting off with his interrogation of this little booger, and who knows where it goes from there. I mean, this is a big dungeon. We're probably going to be stuck in there for quite a while. So, yeah. That's kind of the big recap there for the day. I do have a couple of things I'm wanting to do at the start of this coming year. This might come and play with the channel, might not. Might do some videos on another series of videos on GMing as a beginner, not just the whole idea of running the game, but also running games, but also of actually building campaigns and whatnot. Because I actually want to try and run one, even if it's just like a short one. I think I did pick up the Doctor Who RPG for my birthday, and so that seems like the perfect rule set and the perfect setting. I guess as a, if you will, for a shorter campaign, because that's what the show is. It's just a string of, 13 session campaigns. Excited to see how that goes, and maybe do some recap episodes of those. We'll see. So, anyways, until next time, enjoy whatever gaming you have going into this busy holiday season that we've got, and happy gaming and enjoy the road to legendary.